While there are rules that prohibit us from breaking the law, there are no established standards that define how we should live our lives. So how are we going to make a difference in the world? One random act of kindness at a time. Today's story is about a young boy who stepped in for a homeless man. Once again, proving how one act of kindness can change a man's life. While the ending is unexpected, it teaches us an important life lesson. Jim Norman's father was a soldier, so he couldn't remain in one place for long. They had to relocate again when the time came. His father had been promoted to a classified position at Fort Benning, Georgia. They would be there for a long time, maybe years. So Jim would need new friends to make his stay worthwhile. Sadly, friends, a majority of the town's kids were spoiled brats who had known each other for years. Jim, on the other hand, was a loner since he was a newbie. Regardless, he quickly became friends with Tom, Elvis, and Brandon. One day, the young lad sneaked into the park and invited Jim to join them. He couldn't refuse because he thought they were the coolest kids in town. It was also the perfect opportunity to make new friends. With nothing else to do at the park, the boys grabbed the swings and lit cigarettes. Jim detested the smell and taste of tobacco, but he agreed in order to impress his new friends. Meanwhile, Jim questioned the guys' leisure activities, and their response did not set well with him. For amusement, the boys went hobo hunting. They sought out homeless people, beating them up and demanding they leave town in an unpleasant manner. They walked into the park one day and immediately identified their victim. A filthy clothed homeless man cuddled on top of a cardboard box under one of the park's bridges. Tom stepped on him and yelled at him to go. Elvis and Brandon also got into the brawl. In response, the homeless man begged the boys to leave him alone, but they battered and humiliated him. Jim intervened because his father had taught him that the strong were supposed to defend the vulnerable. The boys called him a coward, and Jim walked away, ashamed that he had ever wanted to be a part of that friend group. Later that night, Jim couldn't conceal his troubled mood from his father, but he pretended it wasn't anything important. The next morning, Jim was astounded during the military parade to find the homeless guy among the well-dressed Vietnam veterans. The gentleman's clothing was still in tatters, but the rows of medals on it identified him as a war hero. Jim was so embarrassed of himself that he told his father the whole incident. His dad decided to call someone at the VA to address the issue. Jim's friends were ultimately arrested and charged with assault. What about Jim, our hero? So, a few months after the arrest, his father took him to see a good friend. When they arrived, Jim was startled to find an elderly guy with bright eyes and immaculate clothing. His father identified the old guy as Captain Doyle of the Special Forces, and Jim recognized him right away. He was the scuffy-looking homeless man who was scorned by his former pals in the park. Jim instantly apologized sincerely for his buddy's behavior. The veteran, on the other hand, had no ill will against Jim. Instead, the old veteran wished to thank Jim for his kindness. That day, he suffered a mental relapse, and Jim helped him regain his faith. He took out one of his medals and placed it on Jim's chest and gave him a military salute as a gesture of appreciation as a veteran. He also reminded Jim of his compassion that day when he saved him from the heartless guys. Thanks to Jim's gesture of compassion, Captain Doyle was reunited with his children. Who knows what might have happened if Jim hadn't intervened to assist the poor homeless man? Jim's father taught him that the strong are supposed to defend the weak, and he did just that on that particular day. friends, every random act of kindness makes the world a better place for everyone. It is never acceptable to be unkind to others, no matter what they look like or how helpless they may seem to be.